Hello, hello. I need to tell you a little story. One time there was this couple that God had created. He created the man first, and he said, "Oh, I'm going to name you Adam." And then he created Eve, and he said, "I'm going to name you Eve." That was after he had put the man to sleep because the man was so lonely, he wanted somebody, and the beasts weren't enough. I mean, the cows and sheep weren't enough to keep man company. And God knew he needed a little more than sheep and a cow. So God put him to sleep like he was doing surgery on him. And he took a rib and he made Eve. Eve was supposed to be the helpmate. Adam was supposed to be the worker. But that's neither here nor there. Those are just roles that have been messed up by man. But that's neither here nor there either, because it just goes down to what I'm trying to say with the story. Eve would gather the fruit and the vegetables, but she had been told by God. He said, "Don't touch the tree of knowledge, Eve. Don't go near that tree of knowledge. Don't eat any apples from it." And Eve could not understand why, but all she knew was she could not eat from that tree of knowledge. God really made a big deal out of it and told her she could not eat from it. And he told Adam too. And being the person she was, she went around and she collected fruit and vegetables from the different areas and brought them home. She put them together on the table and fixed her husband a meal. Adam and Eve sat down together at that table and they ate and enjoyed their food. Well, the next morning, Eve decided to go for a walk. She was basically lonely because Adam was out working in the field, and Eve was all by herself. Now, you know the interesting part? That's when people get in trouble the most, is when they're by themselves. They have nobody else around. They can do about anything they want. Well, Eve walked up to that tree of knowledge and she looked at them apples, and it's almost like the smell just reached her nostrils right away when she had walked up to that tree of knowledge. She stood there and thought, I wish, if only. She kept thinking and thinking how good it smelled, how badly she wanted an apple off that tree. Pretty soon, the sly old devil walked up to her. He was a serpent, a snake. Can you imagine on two legs and two hands, like a human? Yeah, that's what he looked like. God had not made him to crawl yet. He walked right up to Eve. Eve looked at him like, "Where'd you come from?" He looked at her. He said, "Hey, I want to tell you a secret." Ah, yeah, that's what he said. Eve looked at him, then looked back at the tree of knowledge, and looked at him again and said, "What's the secret?" The serpent looked at her, and he said, "If you eat that apple from the tree of knowledge, you will become like a god. Just like God, you'll become like God." Eve looked at him, then she looked at the tree of knowledge and the apples. She thought, no way, he's joking. He's kidding me. It can't be. And the serpent was nodding his head, standing on two legs, saying, yeah, yeah, yeah. So Eve went up to the tree. She grabbed one of the apples. She took a bite. Tasted so good. Oh, she had never had such good fruit in her life. It tasted so delicious. She went up to Adam and showed him. She said, you gotta eat it. You gotta eat it. I took a bite and it's delicious. Try it. Just like a woman, right? She handed it to Adam, and Adam took a bite. And he said, oh, that's so good. All of a sudden, he looked down at his body. Then he looked at Eve. He said, hey, Eve, we don't have any clothes on. We're in trouble. And he said, what are we going to do? You know, the men always ask the women for advice. Eve looked at him and she said, we'll go behind those fig leaves. Maybe God won't notice. Because, see, they had sinned. So that brought their sins to the surface, to where they could see that they had sinned. They knew instantly they had done the wrong thing. They went behind the fig leaves, and God looked all over for them in the garden, but he could not find them anywhere. He looked for them all over. He saw them in the fig leaves. He said, Adam? Eve? They looked up at him with probably the most guiltiest look they ever had in their life. God said, did you eat from the tree of knowledge? Did you eat an apple when I told you not to? Eve just kind of shrugged, like women normally do. And then Adam just kind of pointed at Eve and said, she made me do it. You know how they do. But you know what? When you point at someone, you've got three fingers pointing right back at you. Yeah, it's true. God said, okay, you two. What did you do? And they said, oh, we ate from the tree of knowledge. We ate the apple. So he kicked them out of the Garden of Eden, God did. And he put two angels with cherubim swords, flaming swords. He put two cherubims, which were angels, with flaming swords at the front of the garden to guard the garden, so nobody could go in the garden. And he kicked Adam and Eve out of the garden for breaking that rule, for eating the apple. And then he told Satan, the snake, that old snake, he told him, he said, from now on, you will crawl on your belly and you'll strike at people's heels. Yeah. And he did. That's how the snake lost and had to crawl on his belly and slither. He lost his legs right when that happened, and his arms and hands, because he had conned Eve and Adam into sinning and got them kicked out of the Garden of Eden. After that, God had brought a curse, and he cursed everybody because of what Eve had done. Her sins plagued man. Well, I'll tell you what, they have a new technology called AI technology. Now, any kind of technology requires a battery to work and function. Just like this control requires a battery to work and function. The problem is, battery can leak lithium. And if the lithium gets in your bloodstream, it can cause boils. Now the problem is, it warns us about it in the Bible, that the AI technology will cause boils if you accept it. If you take the AI technology counterpart and you plug into the AI, it will download everything into your system, but yet the lithium from it will seep into your system. Your body will be like a sponge and it will absorb it, and then you will break out in boils, just like it warns in Revelation. I'm not kidding. You need to realize that, and you need to be aware of that. And that's why I'm telling this story. Because where man is making their mistake is they're trying to be like God. No man is God. Take care, God bless, and have a wonderful, fantastic day.